All right. Good morning, agents. This is Kevin Lauren. I'm the Director of Training and Marketing here at Alta Realty Group. And today we are going to go over 5 different copy paste email templates that you can use to send out to everybody in your database to drum up business. So these are really easy to use, really cool. And so I'm excited to present these to you. Before we get into today's presentation, I'm going to bring Bill Seitz, broker for Alta Realty Group, on the line. Good morning, Bill. How are you today?
Bom dia, bom dia.
The world traveler, Bill.
Yes, so yeah, coming back from Brazil, learned a little bit of Portuguese. We've always been Spanish people, Kevin, but
Oh, yeah.
it is fun to dabble in that another language. But yeah, had a great time home safely, which has been a long haul getting back from Rio de Janeiro. But yeah, we had a great time. The competition that I was involved with was amazing, and so yeah, it's good to be back. Lots of stuff to cover this morning. We're on an early one because I know you were mentioning that there's going to be a scheduled power outage, right?
Yeah, and then even more fun than that, about 3 minutes before the webinar started, the power did a little flash and it went off. So I was like, "Oh no, did they just do it early?" It came back. So lovely. You gotta love PG&E.
Well, let's hope that they stick with us for the next 25 30 minutes. Anyways, good morning, everybody. Super happy to be back on the webinar. I think last week we did not do one, right? Just you were in the middle of moving.
That was the week before. Last week we did do one, Bill, and I
Okay.
had really weird internet connection problems. That's probably why PG&E is doing a planned outage. They're probably fixing something. But yeah, it was really spotty in the beginning, so I do apologize for that. For like I think the first like 6 minutes, it was just spotty, and then it got better after that. But yeah, that was fun.
Well, good. Apologize for missing that. I actually do try to make all of the ones if I am out of the area or out of the country, but sometimes the timing does not work. But anyways, here we are today. Welcome back for myself, and I'm happy to see all y'all that are on this morning. We have a couple new recruits that are looking at Alta Realty Group as their brokerage, and I just want to mention Svetlana Riet Jig. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly, but and Eric Bland. So, oh, hold on.
Yep, I see Eric's with us
All right.
as well as Svetlana.
Yes, awesome.
And Alan Braden and Araceli Diaz and all of our regulars, of course, are here. Jeff Brown, John Espinosa, Jennifer Espinosa, Randy Johnson, Crystal Burns, Rhonda Butler, Tom Faxey. So yeah, all the regulars as well.
Awesome. I apologize. My dog just freaked out. There was somebody coming into the side of my house there. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, I have a security detail in the form of a form of a golden retriever poodle mix, and she thinks she runs the world. So sorry about that.
She looks like a Muppet.
She does. She is part Muppet for those of us who remember the Muppets. But she's my special Muppet. Um, anyways, sorry for that. That was she startled myself, and even though that doesn't normally happen. We got a couple broker tips that I just want to go back through, Kevin, before we get going. Um, One was, I believe, last week. I spent just a little bit of time on referrals, and I'd gotten a couple agents that weren't familiar with the referral process. So most of the agents that are have been in the business for a long time or any significant amount of time understand how that works. But for those of you that are new in the industry or have not done one, real simple. You can do this with an out of state agent. It could be in any state. You can also do this with obviously an agent in state. So it can be a California realtor to another California realtor, or it can be a California realtor to let's say someone's moving to Tennessee. And in the broker tip, I did mention that we do in car forms have a 1 page referral form. Basically, you put your name, the other agent's name, the brokerages, the amount of compensation, either as a percentage or a fixed amount that you have agreed upon with your referring agent, and then signatures of both brokers. So that would be myself for Alta Realty Group, and then whoever, let's just say it's Coldwell Banker, then it would be their broker signature as well. And that is the binding agreement, contract, referral, and that is in place until it closes. So if you just, I want to make clear too, it does not have to be California to California. It can be California to Florida, California to Texas. And sometimes the other agents will use their own form. So while we do have our own single page form, I just saw one for one of our agents. It was actually a referral. I think it was for Crystal Burns. I think it was a referral out in Texas. So they ended up preparing their own one. That's fine. Doesn't matter. Same thing, binding contract. Just make sure the terms of what you're expecting to receive as compensation is spelled out clearly. And typically, if you're not familiar with what the percentages are, obviously nothing is fixed. It's all negotiable, but I typically see 25 to 30%. Sometimes you can see a little bit more, but that's up to your negotiating skills, and every situation is different. So that is something I think everyone should be aware of if you are not. But once again, it's just a one-page referral form in car forms. So I hope that helps everybody.
Thank you, Bill. I did lose connection again. That was fun. Yeah. So, did you want to do a quick mortgage update?
I do. And then we have one more. I want to spend a few minutes on here with the buyer representation agreement.
Oh, perfect.
This one's come across my desk or emails or whatever you want to call last few weeks, where agents have they've put their buyer rep as a brokerage, and a lot of you that have been with us for the last year and a half or more have really been able to follow just how this is, this new way of doing business with buyers and representation has taken on its own new way of doing things. And so we get our buyer representation agreement in place. We put the terms of our representation. We put a compensation amount, and we establish this representation agreement. And it can last for up to 90 days. It can cancel sooner, but it's a maximum of 90 days. You can renew it, or it can be canceled. Right? When you put the compensation in there, let's say it's for 2%. If I'm representing you, Kevin, and I come to you and say, "Yep, I'm gonna represent you. I'm gonna do this, 2%," and you say, "Okay, great." And I say, "Kevin, I'm gonna try to get the seller to pay most, if not all, but if not, are you okay with paying the difference?" And you say, "Yeah, that's great, Bill. I have no problem with that." Right? So that's typically how we start these conversations. But what can happen, and I don't want any of you to lose opportunities to capture additional compensation. And I think a lot of people don't understand that agreement can be modified. So let's say, for example, I am representing Kevin, and I have a BRBC. That's the acronym for it in the car forms, buyer broker representation agreement. Let's say I have found Kevin a property, and let's say the seller is willing to pay the buyer's agent, myself, 3%, but my BRBC form says 2%. Well, now this is where you got to be on top of your game. You can go back and modify your BRBC to modify the terms of that to 3% to get the 3% that the seller is willing to provide compensation for. However, you can't do it after you get into contract and after it's already been, basically executed in a binding contract. You can't go back and do it. So my suggestion is, And all of us should be trying to, obviously, we as a brokerage want you guys to earn as much as you possibly can and be as profitable as you can and be as successful as you can, and understand that you're not locked into this BRBC whenever you sign it. But if it's me and I'm helping Kevin and I'm going around and I'm seeing and he's identifying 2 or 3 properties that he's looking at, and I know my BRBC is at 2%, so I already know that. And he's looking at these 2 or 3 properties, and I'm calling the listing agent. I'm trying to get some information out and finding, hey, is the seller willing to offer, a compensation or a concession, or, what's going on with the seller? What are anything that I need to know if I'm going to present an offer? Oh yeah, Bill, the seller's willing to, offer 3% if you bring in a good, strong offer. Well, what's the first thing I'm going to do before I write that offer? I'm going to modify that BRBC back to 3%. And then I'm going to submit my offer for Kevin in getting that 3%. So what's happened, I've seen agents where they have the buyer broker agreement at, let's say, 1.5%, 2%. And then they find out that the seller was willing to offer more. They get into contract. Now they're sending over the commission instructions, and they're like, "Oh, but you've already passed the window of changing the agreement." So I hope that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, that is really a key component. I mean, that could be the difference between several $1,000s, right?
It could be, yeah, it could be tens of thousands of dollars depending on the price point. So
Right.
it's super, super important to be aware of that and understand where you have ability to be nimble and change your contract with the buyer before you go to that next step and write an offer and go into contract. So you have that flexibility. And I think a lot of people think that, oh, no, once I do my buyer broker agreement, I'm stuck. No, you can go up or down, but it just has to be done before you get in any contract or any transaction. So that was the broker tip for this week. And unfortunately, I've seen a couple of our agents lose out on some money because it wasn't done properly. So I felt like this was a really important one to share with you all. Don't leave money on the table. And for me, I'm probably, if I'm doing this with Kevin or, whatever, as an example, I'm probably going to just put my BRBC with him at 3% and going to basically tell him, look, my goal is to have the seller to pay for all of my compensation. I have to put it, on the higher side because I don't want to leave money on the table. And, if it ends up coming in at 2.5%, okay, then I can, modify that. I can say, look, I'm good. I'm good with 2.5%, Kevin. Don't worry about giving me the extra 0.5% for 3. I'm okay there, and you'll look great in front of your clients, and you've negotiated a nice compensation for yourself. So it works really well that way. So if you have any questions about that further, I'm here to help. But that's just something that I've seen, and unfortunately, I've seen some of our agents miss out on some money. So don't let that be you.
Exactly. Good point, Bill. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And then how about this 10-year treasury dipping below 4% for the first time in months?
Very exciting news on that. I've been keeping an eye on that even when I was out of town, and that's a good sign. They're looking at the inflation reports this week, but for the moment, we are sub 4%. So that is a great news. I think we're hovering around 4.25 for, I don't know, anywhere between 4.2 and 4.3 the last few weeks. So that is a good sign. And we've talked about this all the time. And we knew this was going to happen. So once again, if I'm working with buyers, I'm getting them off the fence right now. We're coming into a season where sellers typically, if their houses are still on the market, Thanksgiving through the holidays, they are typically serious sellers, and buyers are typically serious buyers. It's a great time to negotiate great terms for either side. While things do slow down a little bit this time of year, if you do have serious clients, this is a great time to get them off the fence. Let them know sellers are willing to negotiate. Sellers are willing to give concessions. I'm seeing that across the board, pretty much more often than not. Sellers are willing to help buyers with closing costs. They're willing to help with certain things. Um, and it's a great time to just, get your clients moving. Let them know 10 years under 4%. We've seen a drop. Rates have come down. We can negotiate. Let's go. So, one last thing, Kevin, as I'm long winded this morning, as expected from being gone for a while. Um, Amelia Hollow, one of our great loan officers here at Cleary Mortgage, she is due any day now with her second baby. So, congratulations to her. We wish her well in her delivery of that next baby boy. And I certainly am here to help with any financing needs. We still have Bruce and a few other loan officers. So if you do need anything at all regarding finance, let us know. We're here to help. We've had a couple agents like Mel Chappelle and Brian Jordan take advantage of Clearview in the last couple of weeks, and we're getting these purchases done in roughly 14 to 17 days max. So we nobody can beat us on speed, so know that. And if you want to write aggressive offers with speed and service and execution, you guys are coming to the right place, and you discount your transaction fees. So win-win for everybody, Kevin.
Absolutely. And then also remember that you do build loyalty points for using both Clearview Mortgage and Legacy Escrow. Raquel Bauer has been crushing it for us. Everybody that's been using Raquel just sings her praises. She is a consummate professional and really easy to work with. So if you are opening an escrow, get in touch with Raquel. She's awesome.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, Kevin, it was a little more long-winded than normal, but good to be back and good. I hope everybody's doing really well. And let's get on with your tip or your marketing tips today.
Absolutely. So again, hopefully my power doesn't go out again, thanks to PG&E. But anyway, if it does, maybe you can fill in a little bit, Bill. So anyway, with that said, let's get involved. So occasionally I stumble across an awesome piece in Inman news. And so this is the case. And this is really germane to what Bill was talking about because, especially with the rates dipping, one of these emails is, an engagement on your clients in your database with respect to rates. So super germane to the conversation to this morning. So these are 5 different copy paste emails that are just primed to reinvigorate your database, to shake the tree, see if there's any fruit. And so we're just going to go through these things. So the first one is the modern CMA request, aka the equity check. So the goal of this email is to identify homeowners that are likely to sell in the next 3 to 12 months and then to build that high intent call list for the week. So what's going to happen is you're going to, put these emails out through your database. Hopefully you're all, most of you are using our Sierra interactive system. This is perfect for that. Send it out. And, I've been using this quite frequently with a few of our agents, Rhonda Butler and Crystal Burns, come top of mind to me. But this is a real easy thing to do. So the subject line of the email is, how much equity did you gain this year? So I always love subject lines that ask a question or they kind of, they get your client thinking, right? Not just, these kind of static subject lines. That's one, and we're all the same. We all receive all kinds of emails, but the ones that stand out to me are ones that pose a question or the ones that are a little bit, thought provoking. So this is definitely one of those. How much equity did you gain this year? And of course, if you're really smart, you have your database segmented into, you know, really good segments. And obviously, your farm, the people that own their homes. And so this would be obviously the most effective way to put this out is to make sure that you're only sending this out to homeowners and to people in your farm that actually have something to sell. So, how much equity did you gain this year? And then the body of the email goes like this. I don't send emails like this often, but a lot of my clients have asked for a clear picture of how much equity they've gained this year. Even when you're nowhere near selling, having a real valuation, not an algorithm's guess, it really helps. It takes me time to dig into my comps, analyze recent sales, and factor in details the online estimates miss, but everyone appreciates the accuracy. Would it be helpful if I prepared one for your home? Reply yes, and I'll get started. Super simple, thought provoking. It lets the reader know that yeah, the Zillow estimates and these other online things are just algorithms, and they often miss specific things that are specific to your actual home. So really, really cool that I love that one. That one's super easy. Email number two is the rate drop. Reason to sell nudge. So this is exactly what we are just talking about. So, in this kind of thing, the goal of this email is to turn market momentum or movement into seller urgency without sounding pushy. So, the way that it works is you put out this subject line again. Will this change your plans to sell? Very thought provoking, lovely question to pose out there. So, then the body of the email goes like this. Mortgage rates just dipped to their lowest level in months. True statement. The last time we saw a drop like this, it didn't last. Within a few weeks, rates were rising again. I'm already hearing from buyers who pressed the pause button earlier this year and are now jumping back in. Has this shift impacted your timeline? Even if selling is months away, I'm happy to talk through your options and whether it makes sense to accelerate, wait, or prep now. Super simple, to the point. I think this one, everybody should be sending this out to their database right now. And even if you don't have Sierra Interactive or you're not using a CRM, you should know who your clients are and you should know, the specific people that really need this email right now. So go through your database, figure out who needs this, and send it out today. And of course, I'll be sending all of this information out in our webinar replay, and I'll make sure that everybody has each of these email templates. So, and there's a cool little pro tip here. This also performs really well as a text, right? Keep the same structure, and you can expect conversions, right? Or conversations. And the the point of all of these emails is to start conversations. We always talk about, the fact that it takes 50 to 70 real estate conversations that lead to an actual sale. So this is a catalyst for implementing and starting those real estate conversations. I think they're just perfect too. So now the last three kind of go together. Okay. So this is the listing lifecycle trio, right? So the conversation then shifts, to okay, let's accelerate this, right? So the number three is the pre-appointment buzz builder. So this one's kind of fun. These next three are like really thought-provoking. So the goal is to tease an upcoming inventory and get people to ask for updates without spilling all the details or violating rules. So the reason it works is because the absence of a call to action is actually the call to action. Okay. So without asking them, to please respond, they invoke a call to action. So here's the example. So the subject line is, I might get fined for sending you this, dot, dot, dot. Very thought provoking. The reader's like, what the heck are they talking about? I should probably open this up and take a look. So the body of the email says, we're not allowed to publicly promote a listing until it's within the allowable window, right? Um, but this isn't a listing. It's an appointment. I'm meeting a potential seller at 3 p.m. If they decide to list, I expect this one to get a ton of attention. I'll circle back after the meeting. Wish me luck. Literally zero call to action, which is, normally is, the no-no. Like we always want a call to action. This is just a thought provoker. It is just a little, you know, little tap on the shoulder. So it's a really, really kind of, I think it's a great strategy, but it only works if you send out the next one. So the following, the next thing that you'll send out is subject line of the email. I was wrong. I love these bizarre, subject lines, but they work and they get people to actually open them up. Studies show. So subject line, I was wrong. I just left the appointment and the home looks even better in person. Forget popular on Zillow. This one might break the internet. We're targeting, October 30th. I can share full details the day before. Want me to text you so you don't miss it? Super quick. And again, both these, 3 and 4, these can definitely be used in text messages for sure, guys. And remember, the Sierra Interactive System does allow us to utilize text messaging. So, and we can, and I'll show you in 1 second here, we can choose which things are a text and which things are an email, and we can set a combination of both using our action plans in Sierra Interactive. So then the fifth one is the forward to a friend, the silent referral engine. So, you want to turn your database into a distribution force and surface new context that you don't already know and have new conversations with people that are not in your database. And what better way to do that is to get referrals. So the subject line of this one is forward to a friend. So the body goes like this. In 24 hours, our newest listing is going to be blasted all across the internet. That means right now, in this moment, you have something only a select few people have, early access to an extraordinary property. This type of house, or it's the type of house that all the other houses talk about behind its back because they're get jealous of how much attention it's getting. I know it might be the wrong time for you to make a move, but I wanted to make sure that you knew about it because you likely have a friend or family member who's been looking for this exact home. Here's my personal cell. They can call me directly. I can give them all the details before it hits the market. P.S. If I don't pick up, be sure to leave a voicemail. That part, who knows? But anyway, really, a great way to get some referrals to, in this case, you really, that there is calls to action. You are actively asking someone to, to do something for you, which is to share this information with a friend. So, really, all of these can be used very, very simply and very easily. Um, and here's a cool little quote right here. This says it all right here. So the agent with the most conversations wins. These 5 real estate templates for lead generation start the right conversations with the right people, and they're queued up and ready to go to work for you right now. So I love it when we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just, we have the keys to the city and we're just, copying and pasting things right into our database. So no excuses here, guys. So let me just remind you of how our action plans work. This is Crystal's uh, deal. So we go into our action plans. We go into our traditional action plans or fully automatic, doesn't really matter. And what you are going to be doing is, here, let me just go to the account plans. So remember with these action plans, we can do a combination of texts and voicemails and emails. And we can edit these, we can create our own. So you could create a campaign for any one of these. And these action plans are really, really useful for especially those last 3 email templates. You could literally build an incredible campaign just around those 3. So really, really powerful stuff. Especially I think the text message feature. I think we'll all, agree when you're texting someone, it's right there. Everybody's glued to their phones. So Really, really good stuff, guys. So, Bill, what would you say your takeaways are from these five different ready to go copy paste email templates?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, my brain starts working and thinking as we talk through this stuff. One thing that came to mind was if you don't have a robust email list yet, which you should by now, because we are in October or almost November, and we've talked about this ad nauseum through the year. We will continue to talk about it ad nauseum until everybody has a robust email list, because without your list, you're not, who do you market to?
Right.
But if you're still working on yours and adding it and you don't have, maybe enough people that you feel, whatever, maybe your goal is to have 500 people on your list or 1,000 people. Well, that's where your title rep comes in. And if you have a great relationship with your local title rep or somebody that can help you get information, you can also get emails from them in the local area that you want to solicit to. And then these are amazing campaigns. You can do an introductory email or text that just quickly who you are. And then you start dripping these unbelievable conversation starters. And so, with literally probably in 2 or 3 days, you could be up and running in a massive campaign like this, with a little help from your title rep. We really enjoyed DJ Bibb with Fidelity. He's the one that I will continue to endorse because he's so knowledgeable. Everyone who's been on these webinars for the last couple of years knows how much we enjoy him, how much value he brings. He is here in Southern California. Doesn't mean you can't use him if you're in Northern California, but I know sometimes people have their people up there. But once again, your title rep can help you target a geographic area. And we know statistically that if you're targeting listings, people tend to live in their homes for approximately 7 to 10 years on average. That's just the average. We know obviously there's less, there's more, but you can start combing through the database of your title rep and go through these communities and go, wow, okay, I want to target uh, I want to get a list of people that have been living in their home for 7 years or more, right? And then maybe there's people that have only, you can segment that as well and target separate campaigns for the people that have lived in their homes for certain, periods of time. And that'll be super effective because we do know the likelihood of them making a life choice, a life decision, retiring, moving out of state, is much higher with that home ownership group, or growing families, whatever. So the title component does come into play here, but this is all great stuff. I mean, some of it may sound like, well, maybe be a little hokey, but it's good. It gets them to read it. It gets them to start the reading process,
Oh,
and
for
like, yeah, like you said, Kevin, we're not reinventing the wheel. Like, you don't have to become your own marketing guru on your own. Like, this stuff's already been proven, it's already working, people are already closing deals off of these exact methods. So why not implement it into your business today? It makes no sense. Why not? Especially if we're on the slow side, maybe we're between transactions. Do something every day to grow your business, to grow what your goals are in this industry. And these are just absolutely outstanding ways to do it. And I encourage everybody to get started if you're not already doing it.
heck yeah. And so Alexis had a great question. She said, "What program are we seeing on the screen?" Well, it is the Sierra Interactive CRM and website system. So this is part of our program too. This is the, $99 a month here at ARG. Has a very robust, a lot of different components to it. You can build your single property websites. You can do all of your marketing with this particular CRM. So great question.
And Kevin, did you? We were kind of beta testing some text messages as a company yesterday. I believe everybody got one this morning. So even we as a company are going to be utilizing that a little more, just because some people just I talk to agents every day, and lots of agents every day, and a lot of times I ask, hey, are you on the trainings? Oh no, I didn't get the email. Well, whatever, the email went somewhere. It went into spam. It maybe went into the junk, or maybe they just missed it. Nowadays I personally feel you need to hit email and text to be super effective, because I mean, I know Kevin gets hundreds if not thousands of emails a week. I get hundreds if not thousands of emails a week, and a lot of it is junk, along with all the important stuff, CDAs and commission instructions and all the things that need to be signed by the broker. But things do get missed occasionally, and I think it is important to have it coming from two different. I feel the text message is obviously it's hitting you straight direct. The emails are much easier to miss, but we really are motivated to increase our attendance on these trainings, because these are the places that we learn about. We talked about very important things this morning about referrals. We talked about the buyer broker agreement. We talk about compliance here. We talk about the markets and what's happening with interest rates. And we talk about all sorts of incredible marketing ideas. And for us, we want to have all of our agents, if at all possible, on these things. So you probably will start seeing some text messaging. We're going to try to add those too. I know most of you that are on here weekly, we really appreciate that you're doing that. You're learning, you're growing. And so, yeah, we are implementing that. And so just, you'll probably start seeing a few of those reminders come through as text messages along with your emails, because like today we started an hour earlier. So here we are on our first or second cup of coffee, and not our third or fourth, but uh, we are implementing it in our business too.
For sure. Thank you so much for that, Bill. And we will not spam you. I will definitely keep the texts to only very, very important things, because that can also be a little bit of an issue. So, thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. And Bill, we do have quite a few more people that joined us today. And Alexis said, hey, the text yesterday and today popped in, and they're great reminders. So really, really cool. Thanks for that, Alexis, of course. And thank you, Bill, for all of your insights. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Just happy to be back in the saddle with everybody. I do enjoy these Wednesday meetings. It does, connect us to the company. As we are, kind of a hybrid company with some small office space, and basically being cloud-driven, virtual. I think it is really important that we all gather together for these 30-minute or so meetings every Wednesday. We get a lot out of them. I personally get a lot out of them. And I enjoy sharing information I think is practical for you all. And I know Kevin enjoys helping you guys with your marketing. So we really appreciate you guys being here today on an early one. And next week, Kevin will be back at our regular schedule.
Yep.
Okay,
So
perfect.
so I'm really excited to, literally today I will be helping many of our agents implement these strategies. So, if you're not doing it or you don't know how to do it, contact me. That's what I do here all day, every day. So please contact me. Let's get this going. Let's drum up some business. So again, thanks for all of you for joining us, and thanks for the thanks as well, Mel and Crystal and Alexis and Lisa and Don. So you guys get out there, make it a great week, make it a productive week, and we'll see you all on the Wednesday webinar next Wednesday. Bye-bye.